Hey, Connection Point Church family, got an update for you. But before I get to that update, just want to talk a little about the reality of what we as a church are committed to. A couple years ago, we talked about we wanted to be for the Lakeshore because we recognize God's for all of us. He's for our community. He's for those who already follow him and for those who don't yet. And so in that kind of same spirit, we want to recognize that our community is unique. And in our community right now, there's some things that are happening. And so we want to be for people because God is for people. And so as our church board met this past week, one of the things we talked about was what's it mean for us to be for our community in the middle of these days. And so maybe you've heard, or maybe you haven't heard, there's an executive order given by our governor. And in that executive order, masks are required inside buildings that are public. And so we think the church is actually a public building. And so because of that, we feel compelled to honor that request by our governor. And so that means we're changing our language from mask being recommended to mask being required. Now, we want to be clear. If you're under 5 years of age, we don't think you have to wear a mask. I don't know how you're putting one on a baby. Good luck with that. But we know that in these days, we want to do our best to honor people. And so I just want to speak for just a quick second about where you may find yourself in this. Some of you right now are saying, I just think this is all overkill. I think this is blown out of proportion. I think it's all political. Okay, we get it. And some of you are going, I think it's the worst thing in the world. It's worse than the bubonic plague years ago. Okay, we get it. We see that you're on both sides of this issue. But what I want to say is this: when we remove politics, when we remove personal preference, we get to ask this question: what's the loving thing to do? What's it look like to care for our community? What does it look like for us to be a part of our community in such a way that we are great witnesses for Jesus? And so the truth is, none of us like wearing a mask. I don't like wearing a mask, but I'm choosing to wear one for the sake of the other. I'm choosing to wear one because I love our community, because I love the vulnerable people in our community, because I love others. And so our church board, as we met this week and as we had conversation, as we voted on this issue to make sure we were all on the same page, we're committed to loving our community well. And so in that regard, we recognize for some of you, you're like, I just don't know that I can gather in the service with a mask on. We understand. That's why we'll continue to be online. That's why we'll continue to find ways to connect with each other on social media and through digital platforms and phone calls, and sometimes even in person. And for some of you, especially you just maybe feel lonely in these days and you need to be gathered in person, we'd love to have you. And so know this: our church is committed first and foremost to following after Jesus. And second, loving others the best that we can. And so in these days, not forever, for this season, one of the best ways we can love others is by wearing our mask when we gather together in worship, showing that we are a part of our community, that we are for the Lakeshore, and we're ultimately for what God's for, and he's for all people, and so are we. And so we're not saying you have to love this or be committed to it in a way that says, I think it's the greatest thing ever, but we're asking you to join with us together as a community of faith to do this. And I want to say this: thank you. Thank you in advance for the way in which we'll be able to do this together, but also thank you for, in these days, as I and our pastoral staff and our church board have been trying to figure out how to lead you all together well, how to help us all connect with Jesus. Honestly, I've never planned on trying to help lead a church through the middle of a pandemic. This is new for me too. But thank you for your graciousness, and thank you for modeling Christ-like love. And may you and I be committed to living in such a way that others come to know Jesus. May we live in such a way that in these days we model sacrificial, selfless love for the sake of others. I look forward to connecting with you on Sunday, whether it's in person or online. We'll see you then.